How much do you find that your career rubs off on your personal life? Do you find that people look on you as being rather evil?
No, Dubois, because funny enough, I don't really play evil chaps, you see. Old Frankenstein, I've never thought as an evil Johnny. I always liken him to Robert Knox, you know, the anatomist, who only had one good eye, and he shut that to how Birkenhair got him the cadavers, so that he could work on them, rather like opening the lid of a car bonnet to see how it works. You had to get inside the human being to see how you could help it when it goes wrong. And that was what Robert Knox was after. And I always liken old Frankenstein after the ruthless, because he's made to be out with these terrible villagers battering on the door saying, you beast, you mustn't do that to poor Susie, or whoever the local girl is. So I'm after her brain.
You really feel a kinship then, do you, with the characters that you play?
I don't think Peter Cushing would do what Frankenstein does, but I have to, you see, I think the actor chosen to play any part, am I talking too much, or is that what I'm here for? The actor chosen to play his own personality must come through whatever he plays, but he's also got to try and get into the skin of this other character and play what the author's written. Well, Frankenstein, as I say, is always pretty ruthless. But he's a doctor. Like all doctors have the two sides. They must have the bedside manner, but they must be able to look at a patient literally as a mechanic looks at a car, but with the greatest respect for it. But if they thought, well, dear, this is a lovely, dear person, I'm going to cut it open and pull that, they couldn't do it. They must be able to be as ruthless, if you like, as the mechanic who takes a bad plug out and throws it away and puts a good one in.
But do you ever get bored by continually playing the same character?
Oh, no. Boredom doesn't enter into my life at all. Because, I repeat, although he's basically the same character, he's always up to something, you know. He's you see, when we first started these pictures, whatever Frankenstein did was impossible. But there has been this wonderful South African surgeon since then who's transplanted kidneys, livers, I think, hearts. Now, Frankenstein was way ahead. I did those years ago. And I have also transplanted a brain, not very successfully, and there we had the makings of a very good film, we hope. It just hasn't come out yet. Dr. Barnard hasn't done that yet, but he will. So, and when they first started actually doing these real operations, we were all sort of thunderstruck. I mean, we thought it was wonderful that they should, but we thought at Hammers, heavens, here goes our livelihood. Now they're seeing the real thing on television, which you could, you know, showing all these operations with warnings to the kiddies, and they were the only ones who watched, actually. All the mums and dads were being ill in the bathroom, the kids were lapping it up. But no, it's made people even more interested to see that, you see, whenever I have to do any of these operations, I always go to my local doctor, who's, I must say, he's always delighted to see me because he knows I'm not ill. I've come to ask him how to take a brain out. It's such a nice change, he says. He comes down and has a glass of sherry after surgery hours. Because you must pick up the right instrument in the correct way, and even if it's out of shot, you must do things correctly. Because even if only one doctor's in the audience, he's got to be catered for.
What then do you think is the attraction of the horror movie?
I query your use of the adjective horror, because horror to me, and to many people, I'm sure, films like The Godfather or about the war, because they depict things which have actually happened, actual history, with all the appalling aftermath, whereas most of the stuff we do is fantasy, and I think that's a much better title. I think it's escapism, which people love. B, it is fantasy. And strange enough, here's another point which I think holds a great attraction for audiences. In nearly all the pictures I make, it is the power of good over evil.
Famous faces from stage and screen arrived all morning to get their own back on the man responsible for more shocked screams in the cinema than any other. Peter Cushing thought he was coming to a simple Sunday lunch at Brogdale Oast. Instead, nearly 100 friends and fellow actors were ready with a surprise of their own.
Happy birthday, dear Peter. Happy birthday to you.
I saw him as he was coming in through the gate and he was absolutely astounded.
We've grown very, very fond of him, and he's a wonderful man.
But he's a legend, isn't he? Yeah. And he really is a legend.
Yeah.
The party was organised by his secretary of 35 years.
And some of them are very, very old friends whom he hasn't seen for 30, 40 years. And I just thought it would be rather nice to have him around him, you know, particularly as he's 80.
The star of the show proved he's as full of life now as he was when he was scaring the life out of everyone else.
Deaf as an old bat. I'm deaf as an old bat, stuck together with elbow stick, can't walk, what's the other thing, can't breathe. Otherwise, I'm absolutely spiffy. What did you say? Louder and funnier, watch the lips.
At 80, Peter Cushing is still working. His latest project, a horror comedy. He says he'll see everyone again at his 90th. Sandy Fleming in Faversham.